Hammond Report for Saturday, March 19th of 2022.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Hammond.
You're listening to the Hammond Cast Show
We're going to have some fun today.
on KYOU Radio in San Francisco, California. If you're listening on the radio, you've got it tuned to 1550 on the AM dial. And streaming all over the world on the internet at www.kyouradio.com.
.org.
It's the only station in the nation with open source programming. You got it in the right place, folks.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
And I'm broadcasting to you today from the city by the bay, San Francisco.
Actually, I'm in New York.
Getting ready to fly tomorrow to New York City
I'm already here.
and put the finishing touches on my new album, which I just recorded at NDR Radio in Hamburg, Germany. And I'm going to play some of the raw tracks from that album for you on this show.
And it's
So I'm really
already
excited
finished
about this
and out.
album, and it's
Real
going to sound
proud
a
of
lot
this record.
different by the time we release it. But even in its rough state, it sounds good to me. I'd like to say that it's been a real interesting time out here. We played at the San Francisco County Jail and several shows at Laguna Honda Hospital, and the audiences were just fantastic. And I'm reading a book right now about Jimi Hendrix called Room Full of Mirrors, and it's really incredible book. He was a big inspiration to not only myself but a lot of my musician friends. Even though I'm an accordion player, I sort of think of myself as the Jimi Hendrix of the accordion, you know? All right. I also want to mention that next week we're going to be attending a monster event in New York City called the IAJE, and that's the International Association of Jazz Educators, which will be taking place in New York City, which is the best place in the world to do it. So it's going to be a monster event.
It was
And
historic.
I'll be reporting in from the IAJE on the very next show. Okay, I'm going to play an original composition of mine from the NDR Sessions album that will be coming out as soon as we put the finishing touches on. I'm real excited about this tune. I wrote this a few years ago. It's called Payphone Johnny, and I wrote it in the payphone after my phone had been turned off for the infraction of racking up a huge telephone bill talking to my record label in Germany at the
Oh, and
time.
it was big.
And the record company caused me to go in the hole with the phone company who told me for 5 years, you're not getting another phone, man.
They weren't
And I
playing
used to
around.
run out there to that payphone at all hours of night and day.
It's the Hammond Report for Monday, March 20th of 2022. This is Jon Hammond, and it's Eddie Money's birthday in absentia today. And we shared almost the same birthday. We used to exchange calls all the time. I miss his calls. So in honor of that, we're going to visit him and some of the things we did.
It's Eddie Money with us here on the Hammond Cast Show. How you doing today, Ed?
Yeah, I'm doing great, John. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I would have got a lot of people know that we've been playing together actually since about 1974, 75. John was just a young pup. He was really quite the keyboard player, and we started out. We had the key to the Berkeley High School auditorium, and we went back there, and we used to get into all the shows and slam the door in Bill Graham's guard's face. Boy, did they get mad at us. But
Yeah.
we go back, boy, John and I, we go back. I remember when we went to like Berkeley School of Music, and we've been hanging out and doing shows with each other occasionally every once. And I want I'm very grateful to be on the show. And John, you've come really a long way in your career. Your TV show's still doing great after 25 years, and now you got this great job with KYOU.
Thanks a lot, Eddie. You know, it brings back a lot of warm memories back in those days. Of course, that was how we first came to the attention of Bill Graham Presents.
Oh, yes.
Not exactly through the front door, literally through the back door. You know? And Scotty the Guard, you know.
Sure.
We were legendary cats, you know, at those shows. But we got to see some fantastic shows. They brought The Who in, Jimi Hendrix and everybody to the Berkeley Community Theater. And the Barsotti brothers, you know, have done a wonderful job. The whole Bill Graham organization. And you eventually became to be managed personally by Bill Graham, which was really like a beautiful lucky star to be shining over you. And I always knew that you were going to make it, Eddie.
Well, thank
we
you.
met, you know, it was actually before 1974. As I recall, I couldn't even drive a car then. I was on a bicycle. You know,
Yeah,
I had
you
hair
were.
down to my ass.
You were on the edge. Yes, that's
Yeah,
very
man.
true. Well, look,
Yeah.
Bill Graham was a great guy, and we actually got signed on Amateur Night. They had a show called Sounds of the Cities.
Wednesday nights.
It was a Wednesday nights. It was Sounds of the Cities, and I think we were actually one of the first bands to actually get a record deal of a video cassette tape, if you can believe that.
Wow.
We got a deal by making a show on video cassette, and next thing you know, I was opening up Marshall Tucker and then doing shows, and eventually I was opening up for The Who and for the Rolling Stone and playing Madison Square Garden and having so many hits under my belt. I mean, we played the US Festival, 650,000 people. It was the largest rock show to date, to this date.
Yeah, I remember.
With the Police back in 1981, I think.
It all started happening really quick, and I'll never forget when you rolled up in a limousine and you had the first pressings of the Eddie Money album with Baby Hold On To Me on
Yeah,
it, and you
two
said, "Hey
tickets.
guys, here's," and you know, we went to the photo session with Lynn Goldsmith and
Right,
everything.
sure, great lady.
You know, and you know, we want to get to the things that you're doing now, but you know, we have a long history. You came out to the Bay Area. The Bay Area was good to you.
Oh yeah,
And
I love living in the Bay Area.
yeah, we had some notable gigs. Most notably the Corral Club in San Jose that we still never got paid for. The guy was Carl
Well,
Kennedy.
the
We
guy
were on
was-
the same bill with Sammy Smith. Helped me make it through the night.
I know
Remember that?
but they didn't. The trouble was, John, we didn't have a pedal steel guitar player, and we knew nothing about country western music at all. We were like a heavy metal rock band, not more like the Doobie Brothers or the Steve Miller Band. And we came in there, and those people didn't know what hit them. It was kind of like. They should have had the fence up around us, like in that movie with the Blues Brothers,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, the beer bottles were flying. I went into the bathroom, and before I could get in there, some guy came flying out of there all bloodied up,
Oh,
you know.
it was a very.
But we had pictures
The
with
cowboy bar.
Yeah,
was,
we had pictures with Sammy Smith. Whatever happened to those pictures?
I don't know, John. I had so many great. I used to have pictures of me, and I got a picture of me and Count Basie, which was really amazing. Somewhere
Wow,
around.
man.
Picture of me and Mick Jagger. I got a lot of great pictures, but
And
when
then you studied with Ed Kelly at the Oakland.
Ed Kelly was an amazing. Mr. Diamanto. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know, but he was a great saxophone teacher. That way, and Mr. Hibner was a great music teacher also. He taught you a lot about the blues. Laney College had a very good music department back in the early '70s. I learned how to play saxophone in junior college. How about that?
Right, yeah. Laney
Thank you,
College.
Mr. D. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Eddie. Well, you came out to the Bay Area from Levittown,
Right.
And that was sort of my introduction by fire to New York, you know.
Right, sure.
And I met all these heavy New York characters that came following you out there.
Sure.
And I was so intrigued by New York that look what happened. I moved to New York. I live in Times Square now.
That's amazing too. I mean, you know what? You always had that big apple in your blood. I don't know what it is, but you really get around really well in this town here. And New York's it's really a great metropolis. It's a great place to be, and to be as successful as I am in New York and still selling out BB Kings and still hear myself on the radio. It's one thing about New York is they always take care of their own. You got to say
Yep.
that about it.
Eddie's back here for a show at BB King's, ladies and gentlemen. And the last time he was here, it was packed to the rafters, wall to wall. This is a hometown crowd for Eddie Money here. And nowadays you got bringing some of your musicians from the past are on the band, and your daughter's on the band.
Yeah, my daughter is actually, she's doing all the work with MTV right now, and she was fortunate enough to get a phone call from Beyonce's dad. Apparently, they're interested in taking a good look at Jessie, and she's a real talent. She goes out there. She loves old singers like Etta James and Martha and Vandellas and Ruby Johnson, and she loves Janis Joplin. She goes out there and she does a great version of Turtle Blues. And my lead guitar player, Tommy Gervin, has been writing some songs for her. As a matter of fact, we're probably going to take a minute and feature one of the songs by Jessica, by John. There's a song called Right Now, written by Tommy Gervin. This is my little girl, Jessie Money.
We're gonna give it a spin right now on the Hammond Cast Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great having Eddie on the show. I want to encourage you to check out his website, which is eddiemoney.com.
eddiemoney.com. We do shows all over the country, and I'll see everybody in the lobby. And stay close to KYOU, baby, because you know what we're talking about. It's a great radio station, and it's also the home of the Oakland A's.
Go A's. Thanks a lot, Eddie.
You're welcome, John. I want to see if I get John a job to shoot video for me on the road. Hey, Harold, who's paying for this car? Who hired you to take me to this?
CBS.
The Invisible Record Company? Starting to push me too much, man, again, you know?
I've been loving you too long.
Hammond Report.
I can't stop now.
This is Jon Hammond, the organ player and accordionist. And I'm back with my daily Hammond Report for Saturday, the 14th of November, 2020. Thank you very much, folks, for joining me once again for some more of my music and stories.
I can't stop now.
Don't stop
How's
now.
everybody out there? This is a track that I cut with my old friend Eddie Money,
He came so wonderful.
and sadly he passed last year. This is a tune that he always wanted to do, and when he was in New York, I brought him in our Backbeat production studio, and we cut this track, and it never got released. So I'm going to release it to you today, folks, anybody who's tuned in. And I think it's a really great track, really. It's different than the kind of things that it usually does. I'm playing organ on it. And Joe Berger mixed it, Barry Finnerty on guitar. And Paul Nowinski stepped in on the bass. And Todd Anderson did the horns. And here it is, you know. There's a lot of things going on right now. A lot of things not going on right now. And I want to tell everybody to be super careful out there because the virus is raging. Come back tomorrow. I have another Hammond Report for ya. And a lot more coming your way. This is Jon Hammond. Wishing you a beautiful weekend.
Thank you, love you, New York. Good night.
Yeah. Bring you home on the organ, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bye-bye now.
Und wir haben hier auf diese
Hammond Report.
einen sehr berühmten Mann, Jon Hammond. Der spielt der Hammond Keyboards seit er 9
For
Jahren alt
Thursday,
ist. Und
March
er hat
24th
in New York
of
seine eigene
2022.
Show, The Late Night Show, Jon Hammond Show. Und er spielt heute für uns Jon Hammond and the Late Night Session Man, Joe Berger.
Yeah.
Ja, also einen großen Applaus bitte für Jon Hammond and the Late Red Session Man.
Danke schön, Jane.
Danke schön, Jay.
at the organ here. This was a very interesting gig at the Frankfurt Musikmesse. After a 33-year run since 1987, I went there every year with Joe Berger, except for 1 year he was in Japan. It started in 1987. And this particular gig, it became known as the Nightmare in Hall 5.0. Halle 5,0 in Deutsch. Long story. Oh yeah. 9 o'clock in the morning, you know, after 2 gigs the night before. Yeah, we came to play, man. Played all over Frankfurt. So it's sad to see the Musikmesse is completely over. The project team decided to pull the plug just recently. They were gonna do it, and then all the different circumstances, they pulled the plug. So I'm sorry, I won't see all our friends over in Frankfurt this time, but we're gonna come over and visit everybody when things settle down. This is a tune I wrote with Barry, actually. I wrote the groove, and then we wrote the head together. There's Barry Fennedy on guitar over there, and Joe Berger at the 2-man string section. It's called Hip Hop Chitlins. It's on my first CD from a live recording that we did on American Forces Network Radio, AFN, the Power Network. Yeah, we did a live broadcast on the AM side, or middle wave they call it over there. It was an exciting thing to do. Well, I just got my USA Ukrainian friendship pin. I will be wearing that until, well, probably forever. But hopefully we're going to get some peace over there after the horrendous killings and the invasion that's ongoing right now. Sending out my most powerful wishes for everybody over there. I'm going to take you home with this one. It's Jon Hammond saying one last thing. Thank you, and bye-bye now.
Competition, Hip Hop Chitlins, this is on a new CD.
You're running every morning, rain or shine, but it isn't just the run. It's what I eat, too. It's a
Hammond
lifestyle thing, my
Report.
friend. What do you mean lifestyle? We're both 38, we both live on base, we both go bowling once a
For
week.
Friday,
You're the one looking 5 years younger. Come on.
March
What's your
25th.
secret? It's not classified. It's an everyday part of life.
Of
Growing
2022.
older doesn't have to mean putting on a weight.
That's
Good
right.
eating habits and regular physical activity are 2 things you can continue throughout your life.
John Hammond at
Record collection,
AFN
so
Radio.
I got into the studio quite young. And
Happy
hard rock
Friday,
too. I
everybody.
enjoy that too.
Well, excellent. Well, I guess our listeners are ready to hear some of your performances live here over the air of AFN's Power Light. So if you gentlemen are ready, we're going to be hearing Lydia's tune.
Over one big Neumann microphone.
1, 2, 3, 4.
How's everybody doing out there? This is Jon Hammond, the organ player and accordionist. I'm back with my daily Hammond Report. This is a live broadcast recording from the Frankfurt headquarters of American Forces Network Radio. That's right, AFN, the Power Network. And we are a trio here. That's Barry Finnerty on guitar. On the drums, James Preston. And yours truly, Jon Hammond. At the organ, playing the bass lines as well. Both Barry and I are plugged into the same amplifier that we borrowed from our good friend Tino Pavlis. Thank you, Tino. Dankeschön. It's in a Roland Cube with a special electro voice speaker in it. And it did the job. I'm going to take one for you on the organ. Well, I hope everybody is doing A-OK out there. Of course, my prayers go out to the Ukrainian people during this horrible invasion. They are remarkably holding up against you-know-who with this terrible thing he's doing. So, sending my most powerful wishes that it will be over soon. I'm an old peacenik, and it just really saddens me. So, sending out my music. Thank you, folks, for joining me once again for my daily Hammond Report. Have a beautiful TGIF and weekend. I'll be back tomorrow. I got a gig today. We're happy about that. I'll take you home with this one. Yeah. Bye-bye now.
That's live. That's Lydia's tune from Jon Hammond and the Late Rent Session Men. Keep your ear right here, because when we come back, we're going to be hearing more from Jon Hammond and the Late Rent Session Men, and we're going to be hearing more great music on AFN's Power Light.
Hammond Report for Saturday, March 26th of 2022. Jon Hammond, the organ player, and accordionist. I'm back with my daily Hammond Report once again. Thank you very much, folks, for joining me for some more of my music and stories. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. We are looking and listening to a clip of the late, great David Fathead Newman on tenor saxophone. And yours truly at the Hammond B3 organ. Of course, that's Bernard Purdy, inventor of the Purdy Shuffle at the drums. And I had a beautiful gig yesterday. great time running around Midtown with my camera, looking at some of the new giant skyscrapers. Try to fit them into the camera viewfinder. It's so big. It's just unbelievable, you know? And, of course, this is the 31st day of the horrible, horrendous, there's not even any words to describe the Ukrainian invasion by Vladimir Putin and President Joe Biden. He called him out today that it's time for him to go, and I say yes. That son of a bitch has to go. Don't you know? I'll play some organ here for you. Yeah, I'm at the B3. I've been grinding the B3 for a long time, all over the world. I've got 2 big Hammond organs. I got B3 and the A100. And then my roller organs that are portable. Thank you very much, Joe Berger, for shooting the camera that eventually got stolen. That's right. It was a really cool camera too. Panasonic PV430D. And a digital game boost so you could shoot in dark clubs. And this club was a lot of fun. I really miss it. The Zanzibar and Grill on the east side of Manhattan, right next to Sarge's Deli. And we used to go to Sarge's Deli quite a lot. Got the hamburger down on the grill. Bernard's happy back there on the cans. Oh, yeah. Yeah. David Fathead Newman. I just call him David. There's a whole story how he got that nickname. I'll tell you another time. I miss David, and his wife Karen was very nice too. They moved to Woodstock. When I first met him, he was living in the village. And right before I moved to Paris, I went to visit them at their apartment. Told me where to go. We're going to take you home with this one, folks. Have a beautiful weekend. Go back to Marlboro. Safe one. I'm out of here. Before I go, I just want to say bye-bye now.